Oh my, it's noon on, well, Tuesday, January 11th. So this is news that you can use from YAA with your thirsty buddy Zach and your dear friend Ray. How are you today, handsome?
Howdy, Pops. Jim using howdy. Leon saying that's his word. They're all with us here this morning. Mike's here. Igor's here. Jay Nagamy. Justice. Jimmy. Space.
Oh my
Full house.
God. You know what's not here in my apartment?
Heat.
Yeah, warm temperatures. I believe it might be 12 degrees and I'm getting ready to set a fire. Only problem is I don't have a fireplace.
All right, Pops. So here's what I wanted to do today for today's show. I wanted to talk a little bit more about a topic we spoke about yesterday to kick things off, which was the language in that Ford memo and in the dealership agreement. Then we have
Yes.
used car data galore. I know I didn't cue you up for this, but we got the Black Book report, and we also have from Cox Automotive. Manheim put out the headline is "No used vehicle values are not going to crash." So I wanted to walk through that article from Cox Automotive as well.
Oh, maybe they should get together with the good folks at KMPG and they can duke it out. Or was it KPMG? Whoever the heck it was.
KPMG.
KPMG. That's what I said. Isn't that what I
said
said?
He said KM. He said
KPMG.
Yeah, buddy. Okay, so let's kick things off here with that the addendum or the memo that was sent out. We talked about this yesterday. I want to come back to this language because I want to understand that again. I know we discussed it, but like you gotta coach me up here. Like this pisses me off, and I just genuinely don't understand it. Which was this language right here. This behavior is not allowable under paragraph 6 of the sales and service agreement. Paragraph 6, subsection I states that the dealer shall conduct dealership operations in a manner that will reflect favorably at all times on the reputation of the dealer, other company authorized dealers, the company products, and trademarks and trade names used or claimed by the company or any of its subsidiaries. The dealer shall avoid in every way any, quote, bait, deceptive, misleading, confusing, or illegal advertising or business practices. I wanted to have this conversation because you've expressed to me in the past your relationship with like your factory rep, for example, and that was always tenuous. Why is there this tension, and why doesn't the manufacturer actually enforce their rules? Like,
Well,
why?
that's part of why there's tension.
Like, in
Okay.
what ways are there tension? I guess is what I'm trying to understand.
Well, there's tension because in my opinion, and this is strictly my opinion, and Igor might agree or disagree. Others who have owned or presently own dealerships might agree or disagree. But in my opinion, the factory likes to come off as if they're your partner. They are not. They are a separate entity. They care about themselves. They don't care necessarily about you. And the reason I say that is when there is a glut of inventory, and I've lived through times when there's been a glut of inventory, the manufacturers have absolutely no problem sticking it to the dealers and telling them, well, geez, we need you to do us a favor and take these cars. We need you to take these extra cars. And then at the end of the year, when your dealership has lost money, because your partner has begged and forced these cars on you, they don't write a check to make you whole. Okay, they were concerned about getting the vehicles off of their books and onto your books. They come in and oftentimes they try to tell you how you should conduct your business when the way they tell you to conduct your business is 180 degrees from the way they conduct their business. So that's why I always had issues with my factory reps. It was always, what can you do for the factory and not what can the factory do for you?
Pops, do you remember this story? I'm going to pull it up on my screen. We posted about it back on the YAA website. This comes from October 2nd wait, are we in 2022?
Yeah, we are.
Holy cow, this is from October 2nd, 2020. We've been working on YA for a while, man. Good for you.
Yeah, well, we have, but it's only 14 months
That's still a long time
from
ago.
that time. Yeah.
BMW finally got caught, $18 million in fines, and this is just the beginning. This comes from the Security and Exchange Commission. I'll read this out really quickly because I think it ties in with the language that's back in the dealership agreement. According to the SEC's order from 2015 to 2019, BMW inflated its reported retail sales in the US, which helped BMW close the gap between its actual retail sales volume and internal targets and publicly maintain a leading retail sales position relative to other premium automotive companies. The order finds that BMW of North America, BMW NA, maintained a reserve of unreported vehicle sales referred to internally as the quote bank. Do you have a bank, Pops?
I do. It's just not filled with vehicles.
That it used to meet internal monthly sales targets without regard to when the underlying sales occurred. That seems off. The order
Mm.
also finds that BMW NA paid dealers to inaccurately designate vehicles as demonstrators or loaners so that BMW would count them as having been sold to customers when they had not been. Additionally, the order finds that BMW NA improperly adjusted its retail sales reporting calendar in 2015 and 2017 to meet internal sales targets or bank excess retail sales for future use. As a result, according to the order, the information that BMW provided to investors in the bond offerings by BMW's U.S. financing subsidiary, BMW U.S. Capital LLC, and to credit rating agencies contained material misstatements and omissions regarding BMW's U.S. retail vehicle sales. And again, the memo from Ford says the dealer shall conduct dealership operations in a manner that will reflect favorably at all times. ... The dealer shall avoid in every way any bait, deceptive, misleading, confusing, or illegal advertising or business practices. Like, do you see the irony here, or am I just like, am I picking the wrong pieces?
Well, they speak out of both sides of their mouth, Zach. It's just that simple. It always has been that simple. It will continue to remain that simple. They will say one thing to one group, another thing to another group. But when it comes to their dealers, and you have paragraph 6, subsection I, one of the reasons that there's tension between dealers and manufacturers is because of the way that manufacturers selectively enforce that paragraph. Okay, they don't. It's in there to protect them legally, so that
Yeah.
they have a way to try and force dealers to give up their franchises if the manufacturer deems that should happen. But they so rarely enforce it. It's pure unadulterated BS. It is what it is. Nobody wants to call it out for what it is, but that's what it is. The reason Ford is doing what they're doing is they resent the fact that members of the public, okay, will be able to buy a Lightning and turn around and resell it and make a profit, and they don't want members of the public to be able to do that. Well, members of the public allow Ford to make profit. Why can't Ford allow the public to make a profit?
Yeah, no, I hear you loud and clear. It's just, I guess I'm naive, honestly, or maybe I'm still like,
Well, no,
I'm in
you're not
business.
naive. You're 26. That's the difference.
Like, we're in business, right? Like, we have investors, we got a thing we're
Yeah.
trying to grow and build, but like, I exercise like really sound, I don't know, like things that you and mom taught me when I was in kindergarten. Like, I'm honest and I'm truthful and like, I treat people with respect. And then you see this stuff and you're right, it's talking out of both sides of your mouth. I don't understand how that gets you very far. But I guess when you have a giant incumbent business where billions of dollars flow through it, you don't have to worry that much because you're a giant incumbent business. I don't like it though. I really, really, it
Well,
frustrates the hell out of me.
it has to do with whether or not on a corporate level you want to do the right things or the wrong things. What is your moral compass, whether it be as an individual or as a corporation?
Yeah.
And if you have no moral compass, if your moral compass is really how much money can we make,
Yep.
if your moral compass is strictly greed, then it takes you down the path that Ford and most major corporations go. If your moral compass is something different than that, where you believe in doing things the right way, where that's important to you, where your
The
reputation is
long game,
important to
right?
you.
Like we've talked about, it's playing the long game. Like Ford's not playing the long game. BMW's
Well,
not playing the long game.
Well, yeah, they've been in the long game. They've been around for over 100 years.
They played
So
the long game. Now they're playing the short game. Now it's like maximize how much money we can make.
yes,
I get it. I get it.
yeah,
I don't like it. I get it.
and maybe when Ya's around for 100 years, and your grandchildren are running the company, maybe they'll think, well, we don't have enough money. We need to make more. I don't know.
Will we still be the fastest growing Swedish startup out there? Swedish automotive startup? Yeah.
Yeah, for sure.
All right,
Yeah,
let's switch gears, Pops, because Sammy's comment right here actually speaks
yes,
to what I want to talk about next, which is the used car market. I bought a used BMW X4 M40i at the
yeah,
dealer for $53,000 in October, so 3 months ago.
yeah,
The Room just picked it up for $56,000 2 days ago. Now
yeah.
they're selling it for $61,000, Dad. I'd like to talk about used car prices with you. We've got Black Book data, and we also have from Cox Automotive. Do you mind if we start with the Do you mind if we
Oh,
start with the Cox Automotive article?
well, since you're having such a hard time with that, I think we should start with the Cox Automotive article.
All right, here it is. Came out literally just this morning, hot off the press. My dad hasn't even looked at it yet. The headline is, no, used vehicle values are not going to crash. So if you haven't been around on the channel recently, we did talk a lot about the KPMG, which if you're interested in it, just go to Google and type in KPMG used car. Yeah, just search for it and it'll pop right up and you can download the PDF. It's an interesting read. It presents 4 different scenarios for what could happen, all of which yield with used car prices tumbling back to earth at some point. And the headline here is, no, they're not going to crash. And what's interesting, let me come down to it here. Key topic of discussion, of course, was the elephant in the room. Has the recent run-up of used vehicle prices set the market up for a crash in 2022? But here's the bottom line. The fundamentals of the market do not support such a scenario. The core argument behind the crash scenario seems to rest on the premise that the retail used vehicle prices and retail new vehicle prices are severely out of whack. If you remember, Dad, from the KPMG piece, they showed a chart. New car prices were up 17%. Used car prices were up, what was it, like 35%?
Something like that, yes.
But in fact, the relationship, the gap between new and used, is not very far from the range experienced within the last decade. In 2019, the average new vehicle price was 179% of the average used vehicle price. In 2021, the average was 163%. The gap in 2021 narrowed because used retail prices increased 25%, while new vehicle average transaction prices increased 14%. So the argument that they're making here in the Cox Automotive write-up is essentially the gap actually isn't that big, and that the declines that we're expecting to see shouldn't be 20, 30%, but it'll be more typical this year, like the typical depreciation, a few percentage points.
Listen,
Does this one land with you?
the reason I don't think used car prices are going to crash is because there's still going to be a shortage of used cars and there's going to be a shortage of new cars. And until there are increases in both, inventory levels in both new and used, then you're not going to see a crash. While there's a shortage, there's usually never a crash. Okay, the crash happens when there's an abundance of things, and that's what causes the prices to go down. So I don't see where the shortage of vehicles, the limited amount of inventory, is going to be significantly impacted this year to have used car prices crash or even decline.
So they, in this article, they outlined 4 different scenarios where used car prices declined precipitously for a period of time. I'm going to read them out to you because you were in the business for all of them. Okay. And I want to get your take on
Perfect. I lived through each and every one of these scenarios.
Three of them.
Okay.
The 4th one is what's going on right now.
Okay.
Following the 9/11 terrorist attacks in New York City on September 11th, of September 2001, used vehicle values declined 5.7% over 2 months as the economy struggled to get back on its feet. Values fully recovered within 6 months. Does that ring true? Do you remember that experience being in the dealership?
Yes, I remember that. I mean, it was a tough time for everybody because of what had transpired. So yeah, I remember that there was a negative impact on business and there was a negative impact on pricing, or I guess you could say a positive impact if you're a consumer.
Then the next one that they mention, in the lease implosion of the fall of 2002, used vehicle values declined 11.3% over an 8-month period and took 35 months to fully recover. This, however, was a relatively unique market problem with far and away too much new and used supply. Do you remember anything back in 2002? The lease implosion? What the heck's that?
I worked through it. I didn't make as much money in 2002 as I might have in 2001.
Yeah.
And as I did later. There's always swings in the car business.
I got one more for you.
Okay.
2008, when the global financial system was close to collapse, used vehicle values declined 12.6% over 3 months. Values took 7 months to recover.
Yeah, the Great Recession scared a lot of people, and rightfully so. And when suddenly the housing bubble burst, and people who were using their home equity lines of credit and their alleged home equity to buy cars, it all of a sudden there weren't as many people in the market because all these people were underwater and they could no longer figure out a way how to get above water. So
Yeah.
I remember that. I can tell you that the year before the crash at the Acura store that I ran, okay, we averaged for the year 104 new cars sold per month.
Okay.
When I was asked to leave during the middle of the Great Recession, we were averaging about 50 new car sales per month, which was still the volume leader in our market, believe it or not. I think it was 2 or 3 months after I had been relieved of my duties that suddenly the store was selling between 15 and 20 new cars a month on average. Okay, so the decline in sales was precipitous, to say the least. There was like an 80% drop in sales in the Phoenix metro area for the Acura dealerships. So I mean, those were some of the toughest times I have ever experienced in the automobile business.
Definitely. All right, a few comments here in the chat, and then let's look at the Black Book report from Igor. Cox Automotive just trying to justify the higher profits they're enjoying and flipping it on some data that has very little relative to the current situation. It is interesting. Like, we have these clearing houses for information that are like the Cox Automotives of the world that profit off of the fact
Sure.
that the industry is more profitable than ever before.
But I would also say that Cox Automotive, since they hi Michael, Cox Automotive, since so much of their business is auctions and selling cars at auctions, would love to have a return of the good old days where there were thousands upon thousands upon thousands of cars being sold at their auctions on a weekly basis. Where there used to be maybe 3,000 cars at a particular auction on a weekly basis. Now maybe there's 1,000. So that impacts Cox in a negative way as well. Their business model is let's run these auctions, let's charge the fees, and they're losing out on fees.
Definitely. All right, let's take a peek at the Black Book report and then come back to the chat here, though. Let's take a look, Dad. Prices, wholesale, weekly, went down.
Yes, I believe for what, the third week in a row.
The third week in a row that we've seen declines in wholesale prices, which also we're seeing, and we're hearing from many people, their Carvana offers going down, Vroom offers going down. It makes sense. I mean, we're seeing like a bit of a plateau right now. Our expectation still is that come springtime, these prices will go back up, but we week after week, prices have gone down. And when you look at the different segments of vehicles, I mean, some of them are starting to move. Not as much as we need them to, but like it's going in the right direction right now.
Well, in the car segment, every segment that they measure declined, which hasn't happened in, God, I don't know how long.
Very long time.
Yes.
Take a peek at trucks and SUVs. Vans, man. Vans. Still appreciating week over week. Vans are in such high demand and such short supply. It's pretty incredible what's happening there.
But may I say, when you look at the amount of declines
Yeah.
The percentage wise. It's we there were weeks where used car values at the auctions were up over a point.
Mhm.
Okay. We're talking about 0.2 of a point. And that's the biggest decline we've seen over this 3-week period of time. I mean, the declines have been 0.003% or 0.005%. This is the first time where it's a 0.2 of a point.
Yep.
And that doesn't mitigate to any degree the amount of increases, the high percentage of increases that we had seen. I mean, used car values were up 36% at the auctions during the course of the year, and so a 0.2 of a point decline, or maybe we're up to almost 0.3 of a point decline if you make it a cumulative decline over the last 3 weeks. That's really nothing in comparison to what the increases had been.
And we talk about it frequently, Dad. There are two used car prices, the wholesale price and the retail price. And I want to show you here back in the Black Book report. This is what we're not, I don't want to say frustrated by, but it's like what we're expecting. Here's the retail listings weekly price index, right? So purple line is last year.
Yes.
We ended last year with retail prices being up over 35%, close to 37%. Green line, we got a new color on the chart. Green line.
Well, because that's 2022. Where you start at 0.
Okay, and that's the thing. Which direction is it going?
It's going up.
And then if you scroll down and you look, this is a chart that shows used retail listings volume. So how many used cars are actually listed for sale?
And that's dropped.
And it's dropped.
Yes.
And that's like, that's the recipe for prices, retail prices to continue to go up. And that's also like a leading indicator for why we think wholesale prices will come back up. If retail listings are going down, that means there's just not enough inventory like we've talked about.
And there's not. And let's face it, retail prices lag behind wholesale costs. Usually 6 to 8 weeks before it's ever reflected in the marketplace, if it is reflected in the marketplace. Well, 6 to 8 weeks from now puts us at the beginning of March, which is, typically the start of the spring selling season. So you wouldn't expect to really see any decline in retail pricing following the decline in wholesale values, because it's going to happen right at the beginning of the spring selling season.
Okay, so I'm reading the chat pops. That's the used car market update. We'll continue weekly, and we have the data back on the website as well. I'm reading the chat. So the title of today's stream was like, why do car dealers treat their customers so poorly? And we've got a good conversation going on about people having positive and negative experiences at the dealership. Mm-hmm. Should we open a dealership someday? Like this is what I was going to call you about last night. I was thinking about, I went for a run, and I was thinking, like, because we do streams like this, we talk about it. Like, if we open a dealership, we're not doing this, by the way. Like, but I'm curious. I'm pressure testing with my dad right now and everyone in the room. Like, if we opened a dealership, here's what I would want to do. Yeah. Everything's at cost. Sales.
You would want to what?
Everything's at cost.
Yeah.
Sales, service, parts, everything's at cost.
Yeah.
And like the experience is nice. But then you have to pay some sort of membership. Like, you have to be a YA member to buy stuff from the dealership, to get your car repaired at that dealership. Like, I'm thinking like Carvana, but the only way you get in is if you have your Costco card. Does that make sense?
No.
Why not?
But it's a because you can't sell everything at cost. Okay.
Why not?
Let me finish. If you how much is the yearly membership going to be?
I don't know. I didn't do any math. I was just
okay. Well, okay. So you want to attract people. So what's the yearly membership going to be? $100?
No, like $1,000, $999.
So why would anybody pay you $1,000 a year so that they could buy stuff at cost? It just seems like way too much money up front. But here's the bigger thing.
We make it a nonprofit. What about that?
Well, we already are. How can you make it what it already is? But the title of today's stream was, why do car dealers treat their customers so poorly? And the simple answer is because they can. Okay, because the customers won't demand better, because the customers put up with it. It all goes back to voting with your wallet. If, as a consumer,
Dad,
let
we
me
have
finish.
franchise dealer laws. Yeah.
If, as a consumer, you don't like the way you're treated, then don't spend your money there. If, as a consumer, you're at a dealership and you don't like the way they're negotiating a car deal with you, then don't reward them with your business. Go find a dealer that will honor your time and your effort and your energy, and not try to to rip you off. I mean, I used to run into it all the time with people, okay, where a dealer would give them such a low ball offer on the new car that nobody could touch. And the dealer that gave me that offer had no intentions of selling the car at that price. And so I used to say to the customer, here's your moral dilemma. How you handle it's up to you. But your moral dilemma is, do you want to reward somebody with your business that lied to you to get you to show up at their business? Or do you want to reward somebody that told you the truth during the entire transaction? It's entirely up to you. Well, the problem is that too many people are willing to reward the dealer that lied to them with their business. So why do dealers treat customers poorly? Because the customers allow them to. It's
I
just that simple.
I get I understand where you're coming from, but also like there are all sorts of constructs, legal and regulatory, that enable it as well. Like so if I have to buy a car, Dad, what are my options? I can't go buy it from the manufacturer. I mean, I can't
No, but you can
Tesla.
search out the dealer that isn't gonna manipulate the entire
Hey, no, but
process.
you
They
got
do
work, you're
exist.
busy. You're
I'm
busy, you got
sorry.
kids. You
Okay. And as far as your idea, well,
Oh, you should see this
no,
comment
no,
that
but
yeah.
if you had a dealership, don't sell things at cost, but make it clear as to how much over cost you're going to
Yeah.
charge for each item. That to me makes more sense, because all anybody ever asks, realistically, is what people are asking for when they go to buy a car, is that you is
Transparency.
that you don't rip me off. Okay, so if it's all transparent, if it's you
Yeah,
buy
what
a
if it
new
was all
car.
7% or something? I don't know.
Yeah, like if you buy a new car, it's gonna be our
But
cost
not
plus
only buying it, Dad.
$750. Huh?
Like, the repairs, the maintenance, the parts, like, I feel like that's all this black box too, like, everything should just be oops,
Sure.
everything should just be, like, set, you know?
Well, it could just be X amount of dollars over what your cost is. That's all, and you can literally show people what your cost is. Now, whether or not they wanna believe you, that's up to them, you
Yeah.
know? If I speak the truth and you don't wanna believe it, that's your problem, it ain't my problem.
Yeah, yeah. It's funny, Igor. So we have a community member who has owned and operated dealerships, and this is the comment. Zach, do you
Yeah.
want to invest $30 million on a dealership and lose it all within 2 to 3 years and 100 dealerships? Yeah, okay. I got it. I got it. It was
Yeah.
just a treadmill thought, and you guys all know me by now. Like I'm happy to be open about it. But like that's why do car dealers treat people the way they do? Because they can get away with it. Who's doing things differently? Carvana's doing things differently. Vroom's doing things differently. They're also doing things poorly, right? That we talked
Yes.
about. I'm pleased with the platform that we're building to help enable people through this process. I feel like there's more work, obviously more work that we can do. Like you always say, find the good dealers. Eventually we gotta have like dealership reviews. We got it. Community driven. Oh wait, we do. Wait, what am I talking about? What am I talking? Share my screen. Damn it, Zach.
Yeah.
Gotta
We
remember
do
this.
have community
Everyone
reviews.
go to joinyaa.com.
Yeah.
Resources. Forum. Justice.
Yeah.
Huge shout out and thank you to you. I hope you're feeling well.
Yeah,
Go
I hope
down
he's feeling
to
how I hope his daughter's well.
Yep. Go down to dealership reviews. Click on this one. Well, you can view like all of the dealership reviews right here.
Yes.
There are 122 of them. Or you can click here and you can go to the spreadsheet and you can see everything on the spreadsheet here. So, you know what? Damn it. We are doing a good job. I am proud of us. And also, we have the live chat. We're just posting the community. So, you know what? Damn it. I am actually very proud of us. We will help you find that dealership that's not going to, play hardball with you, not going to do the smoke and mirrors. So, there you go. I'm ending today's stream on a high note. I feel good now.
Well, I'm glad you're feeling better.
This is a good therapy session.
Yeah. Somebody suggested yesterday that we figure out how to Photoshop your hair onto my head. And I would be curious as to exactly what that would look like.
I'll ask James. I'll see if he can make that happen.
Yeah. Would I mean,
Will
and
you
I
post
might
it on
not
your
I
Instagram?
might not like the look, you
Will you
know.
post it on your Instagram?
Would I?
Yeah,
Sure.
that's
I
scary.
have no shame, you know that.
All right, Pops. We'll be back tomorrow. Today's conversation resonated with me, so thank you for that. Also, back on the YAA channel. I don't know if the video is coming out today or tomorrow, but I watched it. It's like an F&I roleplay video that I am so proud of. I think it's probably our most educational video that we've done in like a year. I am super
Yeah.
excited for that to drop. So check it out on the YAA channel. Have you watched it yet? It's unlisted.
I
right
have
now.
not,
Yeah, check
but I
it out.
will, I promise.
Yep. And like Justin said, whoops. Remember to like this video. Thank you,
Yeah,
Justin.
yeah. Like the video. We're not.
All right, Pops. I'll catch you later on.
Yep. Love you, handsome. Talk to you later.
Love you too. Bye.
Yep. Bye-bye.